This is how Bungie can save Destiny 2 right now before it's too late. With a title like that, I gotta see what we're talking about here.
We don't need more power, we need purpose. Destiny 2 isn't dying because there's nothing to do, it's dying because nothing feels worth doing anymore. You log in, open the director, and 80% of the activities are just there. No incentive, no real reason to engage. It's like walking into an abandoned mall. Familiar, nostalgic, and completely lifeless. And that's the problem. Destiny doesn't have a content shortage, it has a meaning shortage. So here's how Bungie could actually save it without building a single new raid, subclass, or campaign. Just 4 changes, 4 pressure points. Hit these and you'd revive the game overnight. Let's start with the easiest fix nobody wants to talk about. If Bungie simply made old...
First thing I want to say is that the premise of this video is actually interesting. I do think we need more purpose. I would also say, though, that new activities is going to be very nice as well. Like, right now we're doing the portal and we're running old activities, a couple new ones sprinkled in there. We need some new solo ops, some fire team ops, exotic missions, pinnacle ops, etc.
content matter again, you'd double the endgame overnight without lifting a finger. Right now, every seasonal playlist feels like a gated theme park. Sure, you can run the Moon, EDZ, Europa, Battlegrounds, the Shattered Throne, Presage, Prophecy, but you won't, not unless you're chasing a title or a red border, because they don't drop anything that matters. Powerful gear? Gone. Pinnacles? Only in the current rotation on Portal. Even cosmetics are stripped from half the legacy missions. They've turned this loot-driven game into a memory museum. Loot is the motivator. If content doesn't reward gear that moves you forward, it completely gets ignored. It's not about wanting loot all the time, it's about respecting the player's time. Destiny used to feel like a world. Now it feels like a spreadsheet where only the top row counts. And here's the wild part, Bungie already has the systems to fix this. Set every piece of old content to drop powerful gear, 1 drop per completion, no extra modifiers, no seasonal locks, just straight up meaningful progression for players who want to play the game. To Bungie's credit, they've finally started to test this. Legacy campaigns and rotating exotic quests will now drop powerful gear once per week starting in an upcoming patch. It's a solid step, but it's still limited. This idea should apply to all legacy content, not just a weekly drip feed. And now
I do actually agree with that. You should be able to play everything in the game and be able to power up. I kind of see maybe why Bungie went the direction they did. They're kind of introducing this whole new thing, the portal, and they want everyone's eyes and attention on it to like understand it, because there is a substantial amount of changes that come with it. And with that comes some frustration, and people tend to, we're all creatures of habit. They're going to try and just play things the way they used to play, and they want to filter everyone through the portal right now. And so they tried to push everything through the portal at this point in time, and anything that isn't the portal is de-incentivized, and I think that backfired. I agree with this point here.
Now, with Sony reportedly pressing Bungie to restore player trust before Marathon launches, there's even more reason to hope. If Destiny is still their flagship, they need to treat it like one, by making the loot loop exciting again. But even if the loot mattered again, good luck finding a team to actually play it with. You boot up Destiny, look at the map, and realise half of the best activities are useless to you unless you schedule your gaming life around other people's availability. Let's be real, Destiny's best stuff, Nightfalls, dungeons, exotic missions, is locked behind a wall we call Fireteam Finder. A tool that, if you're lucky, might match you up in 15 minutes, with 2 blueberries who bounce on the first wipe. This isn't about difficulty, it's about access. I'm a dad, I work, I get maybe an hour to play a night, and I'm spending 30 minutes of it waiting to play the game I've already paid for. Matchmaking should be on for everything that doesn't require voice chat coordination. And for the content that does, give us a solo queue with modifier support, grade A, platinum, something. Let the tryhards keep their grandmaster elitism. No one's asking to change that, we're just asking for a path to play. Destiny once promised to be the shooter where every type of player could find a home. These days, if you don't have a clan or Discord server ready to go, the best content is off limits. Fixing this wouldn't just make the game more inclusive, it would massively boost player attention. Bungie's acknowledged the issue, they're reworking Fireteam Finder UI and hinting at better matchmaking options down the line, even for dungeons. That's encouraging, but players need more than a roadmap, they need these features now.
I do like his point here, because it can be frustrating trying to do some of these activities and having to wait on Fireteam Finder. I would say On the at the other side of that, though, is that if you remember how frustrating it is now, or if you can imagine how frustrating it is now, imagine how it was before Fireteam Finder. LFGs were all third party and it infinitely more ridiculous. So Fireteam Finder does have flaws. It is trying to expedite the system, though, that existed outside of the game with LFG for like so many years and was infinitely worse. So I give credit to Bungie. Bringing Fireteam Finder in was a good idea and is helping, but it's not perfect. And streamlining those things and kind of matching people up faster and getting matches going would be really nice. Part of the frustration that can happen with quick matchmaking, though, and kind of throwing people into activities can be the issue of people not necessarily being prepared. So you kind of get thrown into an activity, but the two people you're with, even though you got matched up with them fast, they don't know what they signed up for, or they weren't ready for that activity, perhaps. So it's kind of a double-edged sword here where you got a game that has a lot of depth to it. So when you have a game that has a lot of depth to it, like what Destiny 2 is turning into, especially now, it has been for a while. Like if you think about, here, I'll give you a good example. Name all the weapon perks that exist in Destiny 2. Go ahead. Like, holy shit, right? There's so many. There's so much depth to them. So when you got a game that has a lot of depth in it, then you're going to have people that understand that and lead into that and pay attention to these details. And then you're going to have others that just don't. They're just like, I don't care. Equip Titan, click punch, and that's fine. But sometimes you have to match these people together and it can be difficult, which is why there is this social aspect to Destiny 2 where you don't have to make friends, but boy, is it so much better if you do. I know it can be really hard when you're like, maybe more antisocial, or maybe you're just like, I'm only on the game. Like you said, I'm only on the game for an hour. I don't got time to make friends out here. And like, to be fair, if you're only on the game for an hour and you don't have time to make friends, it's going to be difficult to be a Destiny 2 player because 1 hour a day is such a limited amount of time that's I'm not saying you might not be Bungie's targeted demographic. It may not seem fair to you, but it's like the game is getting pretty grindy. Look at how many hours it takes just to get to 450 right now. The game is getting very grindy. Look how difficult the contest raid was. It's getting crazy out here. So building a friend group, at least in a small sense, is really helpful. And I encourage everyone to do this in the simplest way possible, which is just whenever you do match up with people in Fireteam Finder, if said person is cool, like they do their job well, they like use their super and like don't die a whole bunch, just send them an ad. And then when you have a friends list of several dozen people, you start inviting them to your clan. You start meeting up, maybe meet up in the Discord if you want. You don't have to. I mean, it's not a necessity, but then you have better comms and better team chemistry and better coordination, And at that stage, things get a lot easier. They just get a lot easier. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The game gets so much easier. You're playing the game on hard mode if you have no friends. You're playing the game on like extreme. You're playing on like ultimatum difficulty, especially if you're trying to do end game stuff. It's tough out there. And I feel bad for you. I wish the game was more streamlined and easier to understand, but it's going the other direction. The game's getting deeper and harder to understand, which makes playing with people almost more difficult sometimes.
Not in 6 months' time. With Sony execs reportedly frustrated over live service failings, maybe now's the time that Bungie will finally get out of its own way and build systems that actually respect spontaneous players. Even if we fixed matchmaking and made content rewarding, we'd still be playing the same 3 activities every week. That's a problem too. You know what kills Destiny faster than burnout? Boredom. It's not just the activities are bad, it's just they never change. You log in and the game funnels you into the same Vanguard strike, the same Lost Sector, the same Nightfall rotation, and the reason is simple: power. Because of the way progression is tied to specific weekly sources, players are forced to optimize their playtime around efficiency, not fun. Want to get to power 450? Run the same 3 things. Want powerfuls? Tough. They're scattered across playlists you've already out-leveled or can't stomach anymore. And here's the fix. Rotate power sources weekly across everything. This week, Forsaken campaign drops power. Next week, Dreaming City Blindwell.
That's an excellent fix. This is something that a lot of people are advocating for. I feel like I've watched so many other videos and content creators say a lot of the same thing that I would be appalled if Bungie did not issue an update where they change that in the future for the portal. Like, it would be ridiculous, right? At this point, we've seen almost everyone unanimously say a very similar thing, which I think we can all agree is the right direction for the portal to go.
Week after that, Presage, then Scourge, then the Whisper. Make Destiny feel alive again. Not by adding new content, but by spotlighting the stuff you already made. Casuals would get variety, hardcore grinders would still take the efficient route. But at least now, it wouldn't feel like the same meal reheated 100 different ways. Power grind shouldn't be a funnel, it should be a buffet. Let people feast. So this season will rotate more legacy content eventually, including exotic missions and past seasonal activities. That's a great move, but it needs to evolve further. Don't just rotate, randomise. Let every login feel like a fresh map of opportunity, not another rinse and repeat checklist. So as I said...
I like that a lot. That's a really good idea. You know, it'd be a fun idea too. If you chose variety, imagine you randomly, if you didn't play the same mission every single time back to back and you actually skipped around a bunch. Imagine you randomly get like a crazy powerful pinnacle drop. You know, there's like a buff for the playlist. It's like, I don't know, just a variety buff for the playlist. If you play a different assortment of missions, you get a crazy +10 pinnacle drop every now and again. Something wild like that. Incentivize people to play around and to not be so optimized for the playlist. Because right now, even though Bungie gives you the option to choose variety, it's such a grind that if you chose variety, you would almost be like choosing insanity. Like you'd just be making this immense power grind more tedious for you. And for some people, they're like, I don't care that much. I'm just here to have fun. This is my escape from my day-to-day job or whatever, you know? And that's fine. But for the most of us, I think most of us are under the same impression. We're like, yeah, I got to optimize this because I really just want to get leveled up so I can do X, Y, and Z, you know?
There's one more piece to the saving Bungie puzzle, and it's the one nobody wants to admit. Destiny's best content is gatekept by the worst system in the game. Destiny's most creative, replayable, and satisfying content is dungeon and raids, and most people have never even played them. Why? Because there's no matchmaking, no solo mode, no casual access. You either bring a group of friends or fight your way through Fireteam Finder. Let that sink in. This is a multiplayer shooter in 2025 where the best content still expects you to organise a squad by hand. I've missed so many raids, not because I didn't want to play them, but because I couldn't find a team in time because real life gets in the way. Sometimes the only hour I get all week is random. No one's online, Fireteam Finder is dead, and the door stays locked. It shouldn't be this way. Bungie had the solution already. It was called Explorer Mode. No revives, no rewards, just jump in, explore the mechanics, and experience the content. Why is that gone? And I hear all of you guys...
Now, to speak to this point, I think that he really, really is a big advocate for matchmaking and basically just all activities. I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do think if you match made for Desert Perpetual, especially before they just lowered the power by 10, even after they lowered power by 10, with the mechanics necessary, you probably are not clearing that, you know? Like, you're probably not clearing Desert Perpetual match made because there's like heavy mechanics that require good communication, and matchmaking people, they tend to be like off comms. It's problematic. You know, you might think that the grass is greener on the other side. And you're like, if I could just get in a group of people, I would just clear everything, you know? But then you might realize that once you get in a group of people, that not all groups are equal. You might get into a match made Desert Perpetual and be like, what am I doing here? I used Fireteam Finder for Desert Perpetual. Wasn't the best outcome, I will say, but you know, we almost killed one boss, but that was before the 10 power grind reduction. So maybe afterwards it might be a little more manageable. But I do think that challenging endgame, it's just the mechanics are a little too hard, too difficult for matchmade. I want to know what you think about it in the comments, though. Do you think that they should add matchmaking across the board to everything? I'm not sure why they don't do that necessarily. I feel like it could add an element of frustration to certain activities. Like I said, other than that, I mean, there's no harm in trying, right? I mean, you could just go in there and see what happens, right? If you just load in and you find who you find, right? For now, there is Fireteam Finder in the meantime. So it doesn't have matchmake, but you can do Fireteam Finder.
In my comments, oh, it wouldn't work because playing with randoms doesn't. But when I played Explorer Mode, it did. And I'm not...
Okay, so now okay, that's a different thing. So he's advocating more for an Explorer Mode, which I am a big proponent of. I do think that adding Explorer Mode into the raids would be awesome. They just added this mode into Rite of the Nine for the dungeons, if you don't know what it is. And basically when you load in, they just make it much easier. You're still doing the dungeon. You're not getting the best loot, but they're explaining all of the mechanics to you. They're making the activity much more manageable, a lot less stressful. So you can go through the dungeon a few times and explore it and and understand the lay of the land, what's going on. You get to shoot your gun, understand the mechanics. Explorer mode was a massive W, but that was for dungeons and for Rite of the Nine. They did not add that in Desert Perpetual. I think some people are advocating for them not to because raids are meant to be hard, but that just seems like weird gatekeeping to me. Adding an Explorer mode doesn't take away from anyone, and if we could get more people into the raids, that is like a net positive for everyone. We need everyone to like understand the raid mechanics and go in. Explorer mode would be awesome, especially with matchmaking, like he's referencing. This would be great for teaching people the mechanics and getting people through the raids.
Asking for the same level of rewards as the normal mode or a harder difficulty with modifiers, but at least let people dip their toes and get a little bit of the raid loot that they're looking for. And then eventually, when they're comfortable and know all the mechanics, and you go into the Fireteam Finder and someone instantly types KWTD, and for once you actually go, yeah, I do know what to do. So you put a thumbs up and you play with them. You don't instantly cause them to wipe and then they instantly leave because they're rage quitting because you're not good enough. Bungie says Explorer mode might return, and they're testing matchmaking for dungeons with cap rewards. That's progress, but until it ships, the average player is still locked out. Testing a fix and shipping a fix, not the same thing. If you gave players the chance to learn raids and dungeons at their own pace, without the pressure of a flawless clear or elitist gatekeeping, you'd see engagement skyrocket. Let hardcore players keep their day one badges and contest mode titles. That's fine, but let everyone else at least taste the good stuff. Because the truth is, Destiny isn't short on amazing content, it's short on access. And that's the root of the problem.
And I actually agree with that a lot. And I think that we might see a difference in the culture of Destiny 2 if we let more people play Explorer mode. I think they might get more comfortable and be like, hey, this raiding thing's kind of neat. This raiding thing's kind of cool. And they get used to it. They understand the mechanics. Maybe they go up a tier in difficulty to normal. And then eventually maybe we get them into the master, if there is a master difficulty for that raid, right? And then we could even go, perhaps even they become contest raiders. You just got to give people the chance to jump in there. I really think this is an overall positive thing for Destiny 2, especially because people who pay for the Edge of Fate, you only got like 3 things. You got like Kepler, a campaign, and a raid. So if you don't raid, or if you don't have friends and you struggle to have enough time to raid, then you got 2 things. You got, Kepler and a campaign. You're going to feel like you're going to have like buyer's remorse for the expansion, right? And you're not going to enjoy Destiny 2 nearly as much. So definitely explore in the raids. Make it happen.
Destiny doesn't need to become something new to survive. It just needs to stop locking its best content behind broken systems. Give us a reason to play the old stuff. Give us the way to play the hard stuff. Give us a variety that doesn't come with a burnout tag. And let casual players enjoy the game without jumping through 6 social hoops to do it. This game could be so much more without adding a single new activity.
Still add the new activities though. Let's not go that far, all right? Let's just take it back one step there. All right? Let's not encourage Bungie for more recycled content. We still need new activities for Edge of Fate. We should have got at least like 5. It's okay, we're not going to be too pessimistic about it. Hopefully that's all coming with Renegades, right? I mean, Edge of Fate brought a ton of quality of life updates. Obviously, we don't need that in Renegades, so presumably a ton of new activities, or at least some.
Foundation is still incredible. The art, the sound, the feel of the combat is still top tier, and it's unmatched. And that's why there's so many people, despite being 70% less than normal, still playing the game. But none of that matters if you're standing in the tower wondering what's even worth doing anymore. Sony's now watching closely. With Marathon delayed and executives demanding more polish, Destiny 2 isn't just a game, it's a test. If Bungie can't win players back here, why should anyone believe in their next live service bet? That's why people are leaving, not because they hate Destiny, but because they love it and hate feeling locked out of it. If you agree, share this with someone at Bungie, or drop a comment with the fix you think would actually make Destiny fun again. Like, sub, or don't, I'm just glad you're here. But for what it's worth, I still believe this game can be saved.
That was how Bungie can save Destiny 2 right now before it's too late from Nerd. And I think they had a ton of excellent points. I really agreed with a lot of that. And I like when people are able to basically get down to the specifics of what they want to change in the game, rather than just kind of be like, yeah, game bad, I think that we all can be a can be like that at times. Maybe we don't want to give Bungie a 12-page thesis explaining all the little changes that are necessary to win us back over, but that was a good point. I thought he had a lot of good points, and I agree with the majority of that. So great video from Nerd there. If you enjoyed this video, then click on the screen here to watch another one from this channel. And don't forget that we're doing a monthly emblem giveaway for anyone that is subscribed with notifications on, likes, and comments on the video. We'll be scrolling through all the comments, picking random winners. So best of luck to you out there, and we appreciate you watching.